Hello, and welcome back to TJ Johnson. Now, I am sorry, there hasn't been a video for a little while, and that is due to because I've been working on the novel and some of the short stories, and that has really taken up a lot of time, and also my actual paying job is taking up a lot of time. So unfortunately, you've had to go a week without me. But I'm back now and we should be back to weekly uploads. So today's topic is brought to you by someone in the comments, and this is a question I've had a lot of the time is how do you remember your notes and how do you make notes especially. Now I do have a video about commonplace books and that will appear either there or there. It's a very popular video of mine. But really, I prefer to handwrite. I've always been somebody who prefers to handwrite a lot of what he does. Hence, I've got loads of notebooks here. All of my short stories, I handwrite first, then type up to the computer, and so on. And I have a bunch of moleskins here in which I just jot down ideas, things from my day. But in all of that, people get confused and they to understand how, for some reason, I've got about 100 pages worth of notes in there, but I can remember where I've put stuff and what I want to refer back to. And so today I am going to just be talking about how to do that. So many writers prefer their own memory. They prefer to, for some reason, say, oh, I've got an idea, and then rely on their memory and say, oh, I'll remember it later. And then they get home, sit down in front of their computer, typewriter, pen, whatever, and they lose it. It's gone. It's not there. And then they're annoyed at themselves that this top-class idea is now lost. Usually that means one of two things. A, it was not a top-class idea as you thought, or else you would have remembered it. Or two, you just have a terrible memory. And so writing things down is an amazing way to remember what you've written and remember what you've done and what you want to do, because it's that muscle memory. The muscle memory of actually writing it out, imprints it in the mind. And also, what is written is truth. Okay, I've been reading a lot of Ludwig Wittgenstein right now, and he has stated that, so a man can say something, like I can say John is wearing a red shirt, but it doesn't mean John is wearing a red shirt. That's just my speech of it. My sense data is just speaking about John having a red shirt. But actually writing down John has a red shirt, it's concrete. For future generations, they will all know John was wearing a red shirt. And I will be able to remember that on, Sunday the 27th of July, John was wearing a red shirt. It makes it concrete. And it helps you remember in the future what you have done. And I'm just speaking from the obvious here, because obviously you know that if you write something down, it's there. We know it's there. But the problem people face is then calling back to that and remembering what they have read. And that's the real problem, is they do something and then forget to back it up. It's like writing an essay. You can write an essay, but if you don't call back to the text, you fail. Going back and remembering what you have done is twice as important as actually coming up with the idea. Just remember that. And so, a notebook is your new best friend. I carry my moleskin, which has all of my short stories in. This here is just your bog standard moleskin. I think I got this for £15 or something. Yes, it's expensive. You can get cheaper if you want. It doesn't have to be moleskin, but I'm just pretentious and I like moleskin. And in here, I have all of my notes for short stories. Not only the notes, but the actual short stories are in here. And yeah, and then I type it up to the computer. I don't handwrite my novels though, that would take too long. And that's one of the notebooks, but the second one that I carry is a smaller moleskin. This here just carries my notes. This is a brief overview of what I am thinking during the day, short story ideas, video ideas, etc. And I want to stress that this should be your friend, okay? And like a friend, it should be with you. You should stay with your friends. And thus, the notebook is your friend. This is your pocket friend. Where you have your real friends, hopefully. This is your pocket friend. It stays in your pocket. Now, granted, I'm a man, so I have quite large pockets, and I'm able to fit this in my trouser pocket. But even this, I have a bag which is able to fit both of these in. And these go everywhere with me. If I'm on a car journey, they go with me. If I'm just popping out to the shops, they go with me. Because even if I'm in a queue, I can jot something down. If I want to then go sit in the park, I can jot something down. And that is also to state you must carry a pen. Remember, a little tip here, write whenever you can in the notebook. Just because you will never get large chunks of time to write, so stop depending on the impossible. It's never going to happen that you are going to get like a good 4 hours when you can just write, so just write when you can. Also, try to make the notes your words. If you see something in a book that you really like a device that they had used, try to write that thing in your own words, not what the writer has written. Yes, granted, the author might have used a quote, so you might want to write down that quote, then of course write that quote down. And so this should be a collection of your ideas, not a collection, an amalgamation, let's say, of quotes and little parts from novels, because that's just a commonplace book, not a notebook that you can then draw ideas from. We want this to be original as possible. Another thing is the quote, "You will miss the forest for the trees." Now, it's very varied on where this quote actually comes from, but I read this in a book about how to read a book. Once I understood what the quote meant, it stuck with me, because though the quote means, well, in this context, for reading, you will be so focused on reading for the plot that you will miss the storyline, etc., or you'll be so focused on the storyline that you miss key parts. You can also use this in writing notes, so that if you are constantly writing notes, you will forget to read them, and you will forget to look back over them and forget to actually use those notes in your own work. You will start focusing so much on making your notebook look pretty or organised, and you will be so focused on making little notes that you forget the overview, that you can get these patchwork of notes and make a short story or a novel or something from that. You can do something with it. The last part, which is about, actually knowing to remember your notes, is just look back over it every now and again, but I do it weekly or so. Just sit down for half an hour to an hour and sit down with your notebook, whichever one you may have, and just look over those notes. A lot of it, well, it says, Jordan Peterson says, you need to separate the wheat from the chaff. Most of it will be chaff. You'll look at it and think, what on earth was I thinking? Was I drunk? Was I mad? Was I meant to be incarcerated? A lot of it will be terrible. But every now and again, you'll find that little silver gem, and I mentioned this in the Commonplace book video. Every now and again, you will focus your view on an idea, a quote that you probably wrote down on the bus, and you think that can be used. And so probably circle it, or like I do, pop a little a post-it note tab to recall back to it. Look back at it. Every now and again, just sit down, go back, even if you sit back and go from the start of the notebook all the way through it, just skim through. you will find parts which you have forgotten about and think, oh, actually, I remember writing that. And then you can utilise it, and it'll probably be the best thing you've ever done. And then, like anything, any novel or anything, it's just a patchwork of ideas that's been amalgamated over some time and then patchworked together to make a good 1 to 200, probably 300 page thing. Some sort of Frankenstein monster of ideas. And that is just how to write and remember notes. Simple as that. Yeah, that is it for today. I have got a few essays, short stories, and the Instagram page. Those will all be in the links in the description. And yes, until next time.